change?
I am talking to you.
Then get ready to explore the quantum possibilities. It's time to transform that outdated paradigm into something universal and new. Time to uncover the truth hidden beneath the veil of lies. A time to think outside the box as we link to a higher consciousness. Welcome to the Awakening. And now the hosts of Broadcast Team Alpha, Nori Love and Augie Nost.
Well, hello, magical moonbeams. How are you? Excuse me. Did you see the moon the other night? Amazing. I am so happy it's Tuesday. We get to hang out with you. We've had a really lively week. We've just come off the Forgery Unmasked Summit, where we not only spoke of things, but we heard things that were so far out of the box that we just had to jump on the box and just destroy it because nothing would fit in it after that. And, we're going to do a little bit of that tonight with some really, really interesting information. But first,
Okay, well, it sounds like Nori fell off the end of the world. Either that or she crawled back in the box. I don't know what happened here. But either way, we'll get her back. So just don't fret too much. She'll be back.
Can you hear
on
me?
Board again. Hey.
Yes, you can hear me?
Oh, there you are.
Okay, my goodness.
I thought maybe you crawled back in the box again so we couldn't hear you.
Augie, there is no box.
That's right. You
box.
Did away with that one.
Yeah. I before I went time traveling, I don't know where I went, you guys. I just want to invite you to connect with us other than on Tuesday night. You can find us at broadcastteamalpha.com. There's a contact form there if you want any information. We host the mastermind sessions on Sunday at 2 o'clock on Sunday Eastern, 3 o'clock. We just have a lively discussion about it. And what do? We come together with an amazing, ever-expanding group of people where we join in like intention and then go out into the quantum field by relaxing the body and going to a beautiful journey with images and visualization to imprint what we desire into the gel of the quantum realm so that it drops into reality. And that's kind of what's been happening. So please feel free to contact us at the Mastermind Connection, THE Mastermind Connection @gmail.com, and we'll give you lots of information. Augie, I am excited to get to our guest tonight. How are you?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so am I. We have returning to Broadcast Team Alpha, Tom Dongo.
Yay.
And for those of you that, those 2 or 3 out there that don't know him, I want to say a few words. All the rest of you, I think you probably already know him because he is everywhere. He's on radio shows and TV shows, and he's recognized as one of America's leading experts on the paranormal. UFO ETs and remote viewing is his specialty. And he's a speaker at many national and international conferences. He's also the author of 8 books, and I want him to talk about that because there are some phenomenal books that he's written. And some of them got pictures even. I love that. Pictures, they're good. And he's been interviewed on over 36 national and international TV shows and over 40 international talk shows. And of course, Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. So one of his books is called Merging, I think that's his last one, Merging Dimensions. And that one has 32 pages of pictures in it of really strange stuff. So you really got to go have a look at that. But I've been talking enough. We're going to bring Tom Dongo to the show. So welcome here.
Welcome, Tom.
Yeah, it's wonderful to be back on your show, you guys. I'm very happy about that. I've been sitting here scribbling. My mind never shuts off. I've been sitting here scribbling all kinds of notes. So, I mean, I got lots of stuff. Actually, I did a talk 2 weeks ago in Sedona I thought it was at the beginning. It sounded like it was just going to be in somebody's big living room, and then they rented a huge hall. And I walked in, and I wasn't really prepared. I just had a few notes scribbled down, but there was seats enough there for 150, 200 people, and it was starting to snow heavy, so it was an interesting day, and I spoke about the strangest things I've ever been involved in, and the place was packed. It was wall-to-wall people.
Wow.
It was a little bit of standing room, but that was about it. So it was an interesting day. I talked about some of the strangest stuff I've ever been involved in. So it was one of my more interesting presentations, that's for sure.
Well, maybe we'll hear some of that even now.
Yeah. Well, here's one right here. I have a friend in town. He was very high in the government. I've talked about this before, but I don't think people really appreciate the significance of this. He was very, very high in military circles. And 45 years ago, he was working at a military base. He never said where, but he was working with praying mantis hybrids. They were half human and half praying mantis, half human and half praying mantis. And he said that they were a little strange, but because they were half human, they got along pretty good. But he said it was hard to get used to. Now, if anybody else had told me this, it probably would have just slid into one ear and out the other. But this guy, his credibility is impeccable. So I know it's absolutely true. So 45 years ago, in the government, they were working with hybrids, and wow. David Jacobs is that's his specialty, is hybrids, and he's saying that there's many more than we can imagine, hybrids, half human, half extraterrestrial, and I don't doubt that for a minute, because I've been in and out of that for as long as 45 years, I guess, and I worked with the earliest hybrid contactees, and Bill Cooper was one of them. Most everybody remembers Bill Cooper. That's old like us. So anyway, the hybrid thing is really fascinating, and I actually worked with the first guy that came out talking about hybrids. He was used as a breeder for the aliens, and he was an artist, and he drew pictures of them. And I was at one of the meetings they had in Sedona on this, and it was really hard for me to understand what he was talking about. And he said at the time he was very close to suicide because he thought he was insane. But a friend of mine in Federal Way, Washington, Eileen Garut, had just started, the first time in the world, had just started a group with people like him that had contact with extraterrestrials, and they were had involved in breeding programs, so I got him in touch with Eileen up in Federal Way, and he went up there and he stayed there for 3 years with them, and it saved his life. And his photographs are phenomenal. Unfortunately, I can't remember his name right now, but maybe I will before the end of the show. But so anyway, that's why my mind has been going for the last 10 minutes.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah. We all have heard about these things, but it comes from strange sources sometimes, and sources we do not understand. But when you hear it from someone with a credibility like you have, we have to put some stock to it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I got another... Yeah? Go ahead.
I come across some strange stuff. No, go ahead.
No, I remember we talked earlier also about one subject that we wanted to cover, and you had some incredible information on that about possessions.
Mm-hmm. I'm just, while I was sitting here waiting for your call, I've been going through, we talked about this. It's a book called The Unquiet Dead by Edith Fiore. She's a PhD psychologist, and I encourage. It's out of print. It's on print on demand now. It's called The Unquiet Dead by Edith Fiore, Fiore, and it's a book everybody in the world should read. I've read it 3 times. I think it's been 10 years since I've read it, but it's all about possession. And she talks about how she treated. I remember one patient. She had 31 entities in her body. This one woman.
Man.
Yeah, and how Edith Fiore treats possession is with white light. White light. If you fill your body with white light and expand it out, it forces the beings out. But as I was reading through this book, there are some. It's not necessarily a negative thing, not necessarily scary. So many people make it scary, but it really isn't. I've just read some beautiful things here, very beautiful spiritual stuff that people had experiences they had associated with possession, and so it's a life-changing book. The Unquiet Dead. I don't make a penny off this, so it's I want everybody to read it. Edith Fiore, Fiore, The Unquiet Dead. But I highly recommend it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then now you. We're talking about some other forms of possessions too, and we kind of came back to the fact that not all possessions are bad. So, speak on that. That sounds interesting.
Well, I'm going to explain. I will explain possession a little bit. Basically, it's a living human being occupied by a dead human. In basic terms, if people would only understand this, have an understanding of it, it's not a scary thing at all. It's people that are completely unaware that they get affected by these things. But if you're aware of it, that a dead human can possess a live human, then it stops a lot of these possessions. They for some reason the awareness of it stops it from happening. But unfortunately, some of the worst dead humans that have passed on have not gone into the light, and they're here messing with us. And so if a person is a heavy drinker or drugs, that leaves them wide open to possession. I've seen it. I've watched it happen. I'll tell a few stories about that shortly. But it does not have to be a scary thing. People make it scary. So it's well, I'll give one example of what I was directly involved in. There's been 2 or 3. It's a very long story, but I'll make it as short as I can. I used to when I lived in Santa Cruz, California. I won't mention any real names because I think some of those people are still there. But we would have a weekly group. There were 20 or 25 of us. And it was the teachings of the inner Christ was the class. Very nice, and they had a chapter at the end of how to dispossess a human of an astral. We call them astral beings. So. At any rate, what happened was that our classes were held in a big chiropractic building. That I'll call her Betty. Her husband owned the building, and some of the people came in at night for their appointment. So it was about 7:30 at night. A woman came in. I noticed everything. My eyes are always moving, watching things. So. She came in, and there were about 25 of us in a circle, but I watched her, and she started to, after a while, she started to make funny movements, like, something was bothering her, and it drew my attention right off, and it did Betty's too, I looked at Betty, and I kind of wondered why she didn't do something, because she knew what I knew. We were both thinking the same thing. So after a while, the woman got up, jerked up, and was making jerking emotions. Very pretty woman, about 35, black hair. she came over to the last person and yelled, "You need a healing. I have to heal you." And she was mumbling these incomprehensible phrases that we couldn't. They were meaningless, didn't mean anything. So I looked at Betty and I said, "Betty, do something." She was a very forceful woman, and you didn't interfere with her classes in any way. She made that clear in the beginning. So anyway, I'm looking at her and I said, I was thinking, Betty, do something. She wouldn't. I was 3 people over from her. So at any rate, this woman was going from person to person, and nobody resisted. She was sitting on their laps, putting her fingers in their mouths, and say, "You must be healed. You have to be healed." So most every one of them went along with it. So this woman came all the way around and got to Betty and did it to Betty. And I thought, wait a minute, something's wrong here, because
Wow.
Betty would never ever let somebody, the possessed woman was holding her head and sticking her fingers in her mouth and thumb in her mouth, all kind of sitting on Betty's lap. So finally, this being came around to me, and I said, "Don't touch me.
Yeah.
Don't even." So she can't. And I'll never forget this as long as I live, if you can imagine this. So the possessed woman, bent over. It was right in my face, and I could actually see her fighting the woman. It was her body fighting to get her body back.
Wow.
The being would take over, and the woman would take over, and we'd go back and forth, and they were both trying to speak. So I told the being, I said, "Get out of her body. You don't belong there. It's not your body." So I just this wild gobbledygook, and so she's the possessed woman sits on my lap, sticks her fingers in my ears, and whatever. You need to be healed. You need to be healed, and and I said, so I didn't do anything. But anyway, she went down to the end of the line. I did it, stopped with everybody, and finally the woman was white as a sheet. So Betty got her on the floor, and there was a chapter in the Teachings of the Antichrist how to dispossess a person. This is the negative stuff that can happen. So at any rate, what happened was they got the being out of the woman's body, and it went into a doctor's body that was there. He was there, and I didn't know this right off, but he disappeared. He was having a multi-million-dollar building built in the area, and I won't say where. But at any rate, he disappeared.
Wow.
Nobody could find him. The construction crews were saying, we've got to have some instructions. We don't know what to do. They couldn't find him. So he was. It turns out he was down in Big Sur. He went down to Idaho. So anyway, about the crew said, if this guy doesn't show up another day, it's done. He's going to lose everything. The crews are going to leave, and nobody's getting paid. So I had a channeling class. I used to teach channeling. I've done just about everything you can imagine, and there were about 30 people there, and I was getting ready to doing my meditation for channeling, and I saw him walk in. And I kind of went, uh-oh. So he came down, he kneeled down in front of me and took my hands. He said, "Tom, I need help." And I said, "Yeah, I know you do. I know what's wrong with you." So I forced the being out of his body. It was pretty easy for me. It's just something I kind of know how to do instinctively. So anyway, the next day, so I called up. I said, "How's so-and-so doing? Is he? Oh yeah, he showed up first thing in the morning, got all the crews together, and it saved his building. He would have lost many millions, and so anyway, that's one of my stories that's worked out real good.
Yeah. Wow. Boy, strange things happen. Yeah, this with that guy there, that was more like a negative one, but there are totally positive ones. So I got one that I'm going to mention before we got just a couple of minutes before the break here, and I'm going to hurry up and mention that. There was somebody that called me, and there was they said that they believed this woman was possessed because she was a total jerk before. and she had a change, and she said she had an incident with someone that was in her, came to her in her bedroom at night, and after that she was totally a different person. She had a different personality. She started eating different foods, and she was totally different, and she was very nice afterwards. So I guess not all of it is bad.
I don't know. I mean, when anything comes inside of you to take you over, I don't care if they're the nicest beings or disincarnate things that existed. I mean, that can't be a good thing. Shady D has a question though. Tom, is possession the same as a walk-in? We've got 3 minutes to break.
Oh boy, what a question! You know what? That's what I'm going to talk about in after the break.
Okay, all right, awesome.
Next thing I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
So we still have a couple of minutes. So, what do you have to do to make sure that you don't inadvertently invite any of these entities into you? I mean, I know you mentioned drugs and alcohol. You go into that unconscious state, then you're open to it. But I mean, is there a way to protect yourself? Do you need like a
If you read Edith Fiore's book White Light, fill your body with white light, and it drives them out.
Cool.
She said it worked every time. It was the only thing she could find that worked positively every time. Fill your body with white light and expand white light out, and it forces them out.
Love that.
You mean mentally projecting white light to them? Is that what you mean?
No. Visualize your body being filled with white light.
Okay.
Start it with a sphere in your stomach, and you can expand the white light up, down, and open, expand. Fill your body, your whole body with white light, and expand it out as far as you can see it. You can visualize it, and that she said that works every single time. Very positive. But no, there's no possession and walk-in. They're not the same thing. But I will talk about that after the break.
Yeah. So when we are filling ourselves with white light by intending and thinking it into existence, more or less, then that is actually it's an energy. So that makes sense to me. Yeah. Okay, I see we got 30 seconds left for the break right now, so let's go to break and we'll come back and we'll talk more about good, so-called, I guess, at least processions. Maybe there are no good ones, but so on.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's shouty time. You guys are so sweet. You guys are like in here talking about somebody you hadn't seen in a while. And of course, Karen comes. You guys are so awesome. The amazing, beautiful, rich and famous Tina Marie is here. Hi, Anne. Bernadette is here. I love that name. Crowman is here. Hi, Donald. 5 is here. Ha is here. Happy is here. Iowa girl JC. Joe Marco. Karen. Hi, Karen. Linda Lyons is here. Lisa is here. Hi, Naj. Parked Cake. I would love to know the origin of Parked Cake. That's very interesting. Rob. Hello, Rob. Skull is here. Shady D is here. Z is here. And Zaya Reha. Zaya Reha. Or it could be Zayaria. But I don't think that's really it, right? So welcome back, everybody. It's good to see you. If I missed you, please forgive me. But we have some really interesting stuff to talk about. So Tom was going to talk to us about the difference between a walk-in and a possession. And then we were just coming up with other things that we could touch upon, like channeling, what's the difference, and if it's ever okay to invite, the entities in. So, Tom, do you want to talk about the possession versus walk-in, or where do you want to start?
I'll start with that. And actually, Augie and I were talking about this before the show went on. I have it's actually my publisher. I'm not going to use her real name, but she about 15 years ago, I was at her office, and she said, I said, well, at any rate, she said, "Oh, I'm not Judy. I'm not Judy anymore. I'm Suzanne." And I said, "What?" She said, "Oh no, Judy left. I'm Suzanne now."
Wow.
And I'm going to, no, wait a minute. Now, this is my publisher.
Wow.
So, I mean, she publishes metaphysical books, so it's not, that crazy. But anyway, I'm going, I don't know, wait a minute. Wait a minute. So you're saying you're a walk-in? And she said, yeah, I walked into Judy's body. I'm Suzanne now. And yeah, so okay. So that's the difference. Her soul volunteered to leave the body to Suzanne, the new person. And I mean, it took me years to get used to this because she was a different person, a much better person. She had before the walk-in, she had 3 distinct personalities, and one of them was impossible to deal with. So and now this has lasted for 15 years. She's still Suzanne, the new person, and she's been the same person all this time. So there's an example of a form of possession, but it was for the soul agreed on it. Her soul agreed on it because it wasn't working out. Judy wasn't working out so good, so she let Suzanne's soul come into her body. I mean, I dealt with this for years. So I'm really. But I would vouch for it 100% now. It really did happen, and she knew it. A lot of times people don't know it. They're just a different person. Mm-hmm. Everybody wonders what happened, but that's in her case. She knew exactly what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, we had another person on Broadcast Team Alpha before we were on K-Corps, and she changed and became, I don't know, like a galactic commander, right? This is who walked in, and she had a really rough go of it. I mean, how do you tell your family you're not mom anymore? You're a galactic commander, and everybody's like, yeah, okay. But she had to essentially start a new life for herself.
Yeah, well, she's a different person.
Yeah,
not the old person. It's a new life.
Exactly.
Some adapt, some don't. Some adapt very well, and some don't. I've met 100 people like that. They're a different person, and some of them have a really tough time, and some of them float right into it. It just, it was meant for them to be, so they go with it. It's great. Wow.
And where does their soul go when they say, okay, yeah, you can walk in, I'll go, sit on the bench? I mean, where do they go?
Well, they probably go into another person, somebody that's dying or whatever. They want to experience a death. Evidently to them, if you read the Seth books, S-E-T-H, Seth, it's Seth said, I would regard all of my deaths as an adventure.
Wow.
Hundreds of thousands. He said, if I could go back, I would, I would see all my deaths as an adventure. Enjoy them as a exciting adventure. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that, but I guess. Yeah. If you're coming from the other side, it probably is. It's probably a very, very great adventure.
Yeah.
Now, those people that come and walk into another person, do they often remember their past so they can talk about that and maybe possibly go back and verify some of this?
Well, yeah. I have a friend. He and I were both killed in the Civil War, and he remembers it better than I do. I was a lieutenant in the Union Army, and he was a Confederate. And this stuff sounds crazy, but he was able to verify it. It was towards the end of the war, and we caught them in a creek, about 24 Confederate soldiers, and most of them didn't even have guns. But he said we killed, the Union killed most of them. They were floating in the water. And he remembers me, and I remember him. He said I had a weird hat on and a pistol holster that had a defective flap on it. Couldn't, because they wore any kind of hats they wanted to. It was I looked like a kind of a professor hat, Abraham Lincoln stovepipe hat. I was a lieutenant. I was a lieutenant in the Union Army. So he remembers where he was buried in Tennessee, and he found his grave.
Wow.
In Tennessee.
Wow. Yeah. And that's not uncommon. Well, for those people that say there is no reincarnation, how do they explain that one? Oh gosh, you know what? I'm famous for remote viewing, and I deal with the other side. They say we're the dead ones, not them. The other reincarnation is totally real, and they feel bad for us because they think we're the ones that got the worst end of the stick. Yeah. Hey, I got a question though. That the possessions or walk-ins, they may be other souls or other departed ones, but also could there be aliens presence that also occupy a body and start working that body? I'll tell you what happened to me. I was, and I allowed it. If you read, I'm a pretty strange guy. The stuff that happens to me. If you read my books, but I was when I was in Santa Cruz. I did a weekly channeling class. And there were about 30 people that were there, pretty much regulars. So I was waiting for everybody to settle down, and I was in my lotus position, kind of just taking deep breaths, and a being spoke to me. Said, "Can I use your? I have never been human. I'm a cosmic being. Can I use your body? Can I occupy your body?" I said, "Sure, why not?" I'll tell you what. It was, whoever's listening to this, it was a weird sensation. Wow. Having an entity that I knew it was coming into my body, totally occupied about 80% of my body, down to about below my knees in my upper body, and I was kind of kind of enjoying it. But all it wanted to do, it opened my eyes and looked at every person in the room, and then left. It was gone. Just poof, it was gone, just like that. It told me, "I have never been human. I have never been in a physical body. Could I use your body?" And I said, "Well, sure." Wow. So did he come in through the back of your neck, or where did they come in? No, it actually it was like from the right side of my head all the way down to my hip. It came in that way, okay. right through the side into the middle, and then and it was just, it was an alien being, some kind of an alien being. When I was younger, I was known as being extremely reckless. I would do anything, and I would do stuff like that all the time. Oh, and here's another one. So I was poltergeist. I've had poltergeist in my hands. Wow. So yeah. So I was doing a channeling class in Santa Cruz, and I think it was at a break. And anyway, poltergeists are like dry ice. They're so cold. So anyway, I've done this 2 or 3 times, and I could feel this thing coming towards me. I could feel the coldness, and that's what a poltergeist is. Some of them are good. I think we just don't understand them, because I don't. So I reached up and put my hands around it, and I said, "Everybody, come here." They knew me if I said something like that. So everybody, all 30 people came over. I said, "I have a poltergeist in my hands." So all 30 people, and it stayed there while they put their hands around this poltergeist. Wow. And wow. After the last person, it was holding dry ice. And after the last person did, it just floated away.
He was gone. All 30 people, everybody was going, wow, this is incredible. I don't believe this. Everybody put their hands on this poltergeist. And I've done that in Maine to 3 poltergeists.
So what is a poltergeist? I mean, that's a whole different word than, discarnate spirits, or does it have a certain...
Well,
yeah.
I'm not really sure, but they can be good or they can be bad. I don't know. Maybe they, maybe depending on, what their
intention
I don't know.
is.
Yeah, I think the term poltergeist is pretty neutral because it comes from the German language with noisy ghost. And it could be just about anything, actually, good or bad, and many of them are good. But I got one intense question that just popped in my head when you were talking about allowing that alien in. Did you have any sensation at the time he was in your body? Did you have any sensations of his knowledge or things that he knew? Did you have any residuals of that?
Yeah, that's what I did when this creature was opened my eyes. It was looking at every single person in the room. I was probing the being. I said, "This is my chance to do this," so I did, and it called itself a cosmic being, and that's so it had a feeling of the cosmos, of the universe, of like infinity.
Wow.
So but I wasn't going to pass up on
expensive, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, is it ever good to invite them in?
If I get a bad feeling from anything, I won't allow it to even get close to me. But if I get a good feeling from it, I don't mind. They can come, they can hang around me, they can do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I think on the last show I talked about how I go out into space with remote viewing and visit alien spacecraft. And Joe McMoneagle, the government's top remote viewer, does the same thing. I was standing right beside. In fact, I ran into Bob Brown the other night, who was the originator of the International UFO Congress, and when I was doing my talk and I had him come up, and I embarrassed him and told him what a wonderful guy he was, and I loved him and all that stuff. So anyway, he talked for a while, but he was there when I was. There was 6 of us in a circle, me and Joe McMoneagle and some others. And anyway, Joe McMoneagle started to talk about he got trapped on an alien spacecraft because he likes to go out. He liked to go out there and visit alien spacecraft too. And I was thinking, I'm not crazy. I'm really not. I'm not going insane. I thought I was. So anyway, so he got trapped. They trapped him because they warned him to stay away, and he didn't. If you remote view those alien spacecraft, and there's lots of them out there, if they warn you to stay away, you get away fast because they're not joking, they're not kidding, they mean business. But if it feels real friendly and unthreatening, I don't do it anymore because it's boring for me now. But you can go on the craft, and I've taught whole audiences how to do this. Like I say, the expressions on their faces, is priceless.
Yeah.
Some of them were able to do it. So anyway, if you can float around and they'll watch you. They'll say, "Oh, another damn human." You can tell they're thinking, "Oh, another damn human." So anyway, they can. If you get a good feeling from, if you're sensitive enough, empathic enough, so you get a good feeling from them. Doesn't matter what they are, or even a Bigfoot. Even a Bigfoot. It's good. But if you get threatened, stop it immediately. Get away immediately because there's real danger there.
Mm-hmm. We were talking also about channeling and the difference between that and possessions. What actually, I wasn't totally clear on when we talked about this earlier. The channeling is different than being temporarily possessed. How do you see the difference there?
Well, when I used to teach channeling, they were usually small groups. You're inviting a high spiritual being into your body, very high spiritual beings. And so I've never in the years that I did it, I never had one bad experience in any way, because you're inviting ascended masters, very high spiritual beings into your body. So in my classes, I could actually see this high spiritual being going into the person would have to allow the spiritual being to come into their body, and I could watch it. See, there's a channel on the top. It's on the top of our heads, right on the crown of our heads. It's like a neon tube that goes into the spiritual realms. So the being would come down that tube. I watched them, and sometimes there'd be clutter in those tubes, and I'd say, well, you've got a third of the way up, you've got some debris there. Just blow it out. Clear it out however you want, so that the being can come down. And I did that for years. In fact, there was one medical doctor I trained. He went on to make millions on my technique of running energy that I was taught at the Berkeley Psychic Institute. He started his own institute and charged $10,000 a person when I was charging $5 a person in my class.
Wow.
He went on to make he went on to make. Last I heard, he was sailing on his yacht in the Mediterranean.
Wow.
On what I taught him.
Wow. Can you describe a little bit more what running energy is?
Well, yeah, okay, here's a good example. I can see into a human body like an X-ray machine. Mm-hmm. And there's a woman. I did a class, an incredible class, about 6 months ago, and one of the girls, and she just had brain surgery, and she had a metal plate over her brain, big one. And I was fascinated. I think, oh man, people must think I'm nuts. They were all kind of crowded around after the session was over, and I'm looking underneath that plate. And I was fascinating at what I was looking at, because I said, you're good, you're okay, there's no problems, but your energy is not moving. You've got to see energy spinning in your brain, and you've got to get it moving, because dead energy causes disease. That's the first cause of disease. Yeah. Stagnant energy. So I bet she's emailed me 100 times since then how wonderful she's doing. So that makes my heart feel good, when I do stuff like that. But that's what moving energy is. It's just moving it through your body. And I can see it. If it's not moving, I can see it.
Mm-hmm. Now the Christians talk about speaking in tongues. Is that the same thing?
Oh, boy.
A lot of times when they speak in tongues, people can't understand it. So there's supposed to be somebody there to translate, but that doesn't really come out very good all the time. What kind of stuff is that?
I've been around people speaking in tongues, and basically it's BS. Yeah, it's their ego imagination running wild. And I've listened to a bunch of it. I used to watch, the big preachers, years ago. It was kind of fun to watch these people, and it was just gobbledygook. It never amounted to anything, never said anything. So I think it's just somebody's ego running wild to get attention.
Well, do you think that's the same thing with light language that people are speaking now?
No, that's altogether different. Altogether different. I tried, there is a light language. Mm-hmm. It's actually light. And I tried to access it one time, but no, language of light is absolutely real. And I tried to learn it long ago with not much success, because I couldn't focus on it, but I could see it. I could see the different colors, how it worked. The light language is very real. Light language.
Yeah. Now, I see we have 4 minutes left here until the end of the show. Would you talk a little bit about your books also, and also where people can get a hold of you?
Oh yeah, well, I'm still about 1,500 emails behind, so don't. I can't keep up with it. I can't. I try, but it's like an avalanche. I So no, don't email me. But my book, Merging Dimensions, is my pride and joy. It's my new book. It's a revised version of the original Merging Dimensions, and it's Amazon and many bookstores now have it. Most bookstores have it, and Amazon certainly. So Merging. Merging Dimensions. Everybody go out and buy a copy.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's great. I heard endless high compliments, so it's a good book.
Yeah, I've been on Amazon. I saw it there, and it's got pretty close to 5 stars, I think, all over the place there.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I have eight books total, and 3 of them are out of print forever now, but they are on Kindle and ebooks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got a couple of minutes left here. What are the other books that maybe you want to mention?
Oh, yeah, good. Okay, I got it right here. It's called Letters from the Other Side, and it's Mary Blount, Blount White. Mary Blount White. It's my Bible. It was written in 1917. Automatic written by. It was a farmer, and this is one of the best descriptions of what it's like to die. 3 of the members of the family died, and one of them was able to come back and automatic write through this Mary Blount White, and so she wrote this book, and it's my Bible. It tells that people on the other side have been able to tell what it's like, being over there, as compared to what it is here. Enormous difference.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing.
Letters from the Other Side.
Thank you. I'm so happy you came to hang out with us again tonight. You always have such out of the box, right? We shattered the box, out of the box information. Bye, everybody. See you next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Bye, Tom. Thank you.
You've been listening to Broadcast Team Alpha.
Broadcast Team Alpha.